That's why my whole theory now with investing is if you're going to go buy one rental property, buy two more as soon as you can.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest is based in South Jersey with a background in military and law enforcement, now as an active agent and investor. Please welcome Ken LePosa. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
It's great to have you on here, Ken. We talked last week, and I'm glad to have you here on the show today. I'm a New Jersey guy at heart. I was born and raised in northern New Jersey, and now I'm abroad. But whenever I can connect with anyone from the tri-state area, let alone New Jersey, it's great for me. I want to ask you about getting into the real estate space because it wasn't a natural transition for me. I kind of was a mix of intention, focused effort, and a little bit of luck. How'd you get into real estate?
Well, I kind of fell into it from the standpoint that after my stint in the military, got into federal law enforcement down in Washington, D.C. So when I moved down there, my agent actually asked me, hey, after a couple months living over there, hey, got a question. You ever think about flipping houses? I said, well, you know what? Thought about it, never really wanted to do it, but yeah, why not? So he's like, there's two kinds of people, the ones that think about it and one in the doers. So I'm like, you know what? Let's get it done. So we went ahead, we flipped the house in Arlington, Virginia. It was actually a two bath, 1,600 square foot condo. They went ahead and flipped more to 340 and sold it for 455. 3 months later, and it was actually at the time the largest sale of that model in that complex.
That'll make me want to become an investor. What year was that?
That was in the end of 2016.
So 2016, at that point in time, you're working in law enforcement?
Yes.
And so were you thinking at that point, like, hey, this is a business that I'm going to dive into, or were you still skeptical about it? What was your thought process?
I mean, well, the whole time we did it, we used the .coms to go ahead and try and find places like the Home Advisors and Thumbtacks. So, to try and find contractors, and we're doing interviews on the spot. So we had no idea what we were doing. But between my impulsiveness and my wife's organizational skills, we were able to get through it. But right then we got the bug. We definitely got the bug.
I can only imagine. You mentioned it really being a partnership, you, your wife, and was it your friend who got you into it? Someone that you knew?
My agent who we bought our primary down in Northern Virginia through.
Okay. What's the communication like between all three of y'all when you were going through this process? Was it like, hey, I'm going to find the property. Hey, I'm going to find the contractors. Hey, I got to make sure that we're on schedule. What were the roles divided up like? Was each person involved in a little bit of everything, or did people have a specific?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
When I say he literally called me up and asked me if I wanted to flip a house, he literally called me up and said, "Hey, listen, I think I can get you this number for this house, and it's definitely flippable. You got the comps for it in there. Do you want to do it? I need an answer." So
So you said,
I
let's
spoke
figure
to
it
my
out.
wife that night, and for some reason, she became impulsive at that moment too, and we went ahead and did it. That was it. He didn't go out looking for houses for me. I fell in his lap, which then he threw it at me.
What was it like from there? I mean, 2016, really a great time to be looking at flips. Like, I kind of think I wish I got in then. I got in 20, right during COVID, 2023, I guess the end of COVID. I'm curious, what was the next couple of years like for you? You had one flip, it went real well. You mentioned how successful it was. Were you then looking at a bunch of flips immediately, or were you selective? What was your process like from there?
At the time, I was going through a transition because I was on a security detail for the incoming president. So I went ahead and got a transfer after that detail was over, back up to the Philadelphia area. I gave up the badge and the gun and took a federal position. And at the time, also, my youngest son was only 2 weeks old. So we had no time to go ahead and really look for flips. So my wife,
Yeah.
so, so my wife's like, "Hey, you know what? We got to turn our attention to try and start buying rental properties," which we never did. So while we're living in my in-laws' house, looking for houses over, and now we live in Camden County, um, we actually found our first rental property before we found our primary. So we knew
So,
where we want to live, and we went ahead. I found a deal. I'm like, well, we don't want to live here. We don't want to be in a duplex, but we bought a duplex.
yeah.
It was already half rented, half completed. All I had to do was just find another tenant. So we're like, all right, well, let's do this. And then we bought, and then we found an actual house.
House hacking in a way, renting before owning, but then owning the properties that you rent out.
Yes.
And so you were looking, I'm assuming this was all in the Virginia area, yeah?
No, that wasn't that. That was in Jersey at the time. Then, when I was on my way coming back up to the Philadelphia area after I got a transfer.
So going from one area to another, I'm imagining there was a little bit of, I mean, I'm a Texas licensed realtor, so I can understand the differences between states. Was there any bit of apprehensiveness or, concern about different market between Virginia and New Jersey?
Hands down, definitely. And when I was moving back up from Northern Virginia, you look at the Northern Virginia prices, the prices are high, taxes are low. And then in Jersey, it's actually reversed. Where in South Jersey, and you're from Northern Jersey, I'm actually a Central Jersey guy at heart. And North Jersey, Central Jersey, the prices are astronomical, and also the taxes are astronomical. South
Yep.
Jersey at the time, back in 17, where we were looking, wasn't all that expensive, but the taxes were insane still. So our mortgage was higher, and I didn't understand why. I'm like, why is my mortgage higher when my prices of the house is literally half the price of my house in Northern Virginia? That's because I was paying $5,800 a month, $5,800 a year in taxes in Virginia to $13,000 a year in Jersey. So yeah, so when we were going ahead and um, look, when I saw this rental property and got the rental property, picked it up, and just it fit every check mark possible. We bought it for 125,000. Not it was definitely unrented on a one side at $900 a month, but at least we had money coming in. I got the next tenant in at a little over 1,200 a month, and then we've been raising the other person every year since then, and
Duplex,
making
right?
proper rehab decisions as well on the property. What?
It was a duplex, right? So go from doing a flip in Virginia, then you go to this duplex deal. How are you managing this while having a very important full-time job? It can be tricky, I think, for people who had not a law enforcement career. How are you managing it?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
At the time, it was more of a hobby, right? Because it was only one property and,
Yeah.
2 tenants. So, not that big of a deal. And then all of a sudden, once you go ahead and tack on a couple more properties here and there, what have you, it takes a life of its own.
That's
The
right.
area, the areas where we were looking, where, the one area where the first property's at, is kind of like, I guess, a C area. And then I'm like, well, you know what? If we're in a C area, how's a D area? Let's check that out. Go over there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm prior military, prior federal law enforcement. I got no worries about going where I'm going. So we went into other areas, and now I'm like, wow, that one property we bought for 125, I could buy 3. I'm like, that's great. Let's do it. So 6 months after we had a duplex, I refied the duplex and cashed out and went ahead and bought 3 more properties immediately.
At this point in time, I mean, you're stacking a real estate portfolio here, but you have a whole career outside of real estate. Were you thinking at all about becoming an agent at that point, or was that not a thought?
It wasn't even a thought because I was buying stuff at the time off market, and so it didn't really occur to me about becoming an agent. Did it cross my mind? Yes, but I didn't really think about it any further. All I thought about was, if I'm an agent, now I got to be put in this little square box, with laws, ethics, this, that, what have you. Not saying that I'm not a trustworthy person. I am, but I've
You have to
just
disclose everything. Yeah.
exactly. I like doing a model of what I'm doing, and I just kept going on it. Well, excuse me, me and my wife just kept going on it. And at the
I
time,
tell people
she had a
that
full-time career as well, and she does still have a full-time career, and I did as well at the time. So
I
now,
it's
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I cut you off. It's a thing where it's a double-edged sword. I sometimes tell people, if you're an investor, being an investor, and you're thinking about getting your license as an agent, it can be helpful, but also now it can also limit you in some ways. I do want to pivot back and ask you about what it was like scaling, because you got multiple properties here. Your wife has a full-time job. You have a full-time job, raising a family. At this point, is it becoming like, okay, now we have to figure out some processes and put some systems in place because we've got a bunch of doors at this point?
It didn't really until we hit like the 8 to 10 aspect. Once you hit 10, then you're like, all right, the calls are coming in, the issues are coming in, and big issues are coming in. And, once we hit about 5 doors, I had 2 water lines break on me. No, I'm sorry, 2 sewer lines break on me within 2 weeks. So that was
Yeah.
$15,000 out the bat. So now, that's why my whole theory now with investing is, if you're going to go buy one rental property, buy 2 more as soon as you can.
What would be your feedback to folks who may be in a similar career and are looking at real estate investing? Would you tell folks, hey, right away, you want to look at property managers, you want to do this? Or would you tell folks follow a similar path that you did, which is basically self-manage up until you reach a certain number of doors?
If you can self-manage, at the time, in fact, if I can revert back real quick to answer your question, I actually took a class. Me and my wife went to a RIA class, and we took a class, paid for it, paid a lot of money for it, and did nothing for us. So that gave us the actual fire and a burn to go ahead and make back that money. So when we did that, once we did that, then we're like, all right, now we're cooking with gas. Now we got to get going. We're not paying anybody else. So now we kept everything in house. And then, for anybody that's looking to go ahead and do this, you really need to go ahead and try and do it yourself. If you're scared and you don't want to do it yourself, find somebody that can mentor you.
Yeah.
Um, and also that's not going to be charging you fees to be able to mentor you.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Because for me personally, I mean, I mentor, but I mentor in South Jersey, and also I don't charge any fees to the people that I'm mentoring, except for obviously commissions, um, from real estate. But yeah, try and find a mentor. Do it yourself. Wait for the property management companies until you're just tremendously too big and you just can't handle it yourself, and it might be causing problems in your family or what have you.
I want to ask you about when those two sewer lines broke.
Yes.
That can be, I'd say, a big, big headache. And how did you manage that? And how were the tenants when they were going through this?
It's funny that the tenants were fine. Actually one tenant didn't even know that he even broke because he wasn't down in the basement. He said for like 2 months. I'm like, great. So when did this even happen?
Yeah.
And then the other one just backed up, and they saw it immediately. But yeah, I mean, we got them both fixed, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
And on top of that too, the one that backed up into the basement for about 7 or 8 inches worth of sewer water, I had to get cleaned out by a company, which my insurance company took care of. But I still had to take care of the sewer line. I still had to take care of, the cleaning after all the sewer water was out. So it wasn't fun at all. But it is what it is on
I
that
want to
aspect.
pivot. It's tough. I mean, I lived in Texas most recently before moving out here in Santo Domingo. And one of the things that I tell people is in most places in Texas, nothing is winterized. So if you have a freeze, everything can potentially break. You have to shut everything off. I mean, not shut everything off. You have to keep it dripping. You can't shut it off completely. Otherwise, the pipes will burst. And so I definitely know about kind of the headache that can become even more so. I do want to pivot a bit here and ask you about getting a real estate license and what really prompted you to do that. And then also, how has it been being a realtor coming from, a totally different background in military law enforcement, and then also as an investor yourself?
Me and the wife, we were going perfectly fine as far as rentals, and I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to a couple agents. Got a couple agents, they found some deals for us, but I was still finding the deals myself and then having them write the contracts. So it was well, what am I doing here? So 2022, we bought a large amount of properties in the last 6 months of the year. Saw the fact that my agent, I was like, wow, she really made a good amount of money on me. So, I mean, yes, and she wrote the contracts up and everything, but I'm really the one finding the deals. So I said, you know what? I got to get my license. So I went ahead, got my license. And then from there, then I noticed, I'm like, all right, well, got my license. And I know a lot of investors already just because I'm in the business, in the investment world. And you know as well as I do, it's a very small world, very small group of very small population. And you almost become friends with everybody, and start finding deals for people, and that's how I built a small book of business at that time. And then I started getting phone calls from new investors, which was pretty cool. To go ahead and help.
I think it's an interesting niche to be in because I tell a lot of people this who are thinking about getting their real estate license. First, I tell them if you're an investor, it might limit you. But then I also tell people that uh, it's two different worlds. It really is, Ken, right? I mean, I know when I took my real estate classes earlier this year, I got licensed in April. There was very few people who were talking about working with investors. Very, very few people. You had more people who were maybe thinking about doing commercial or people who wanted to help a lot of, first-time home buyers and this sort of thing. But very few people were talking about interfacing with investors. And I was a wholesaler before I was a realtor. So that was even worse in a lot of ways, Ken. They were saying,
Yes.
people who come up with these creative offers and people who are making low offers, you have to really screen pretty heavily. So I came into it from a totally different mentality and totally different side of things, with really very little intent to actually sell and list properties for other people. Similar to yourself, I was working with realtors and investors, and I was having to refer out the contracting duties, if you will, because I didn't have a license. Now that I'm licensed, I see, oh well, there's, like you mentioned, a whole community of people, and it seems like everybody does really know everybody, specifically in the regionality of real estate. So I mean,
Yes.
I'll be out in North Texas, and it seems like I know everybody.
Hmm.
I want to pivot a bit here, Ken, and ask you about investing in New Jersey in general. I think a lot of people, perhaps rightfully so, look at East Coast and it can be more risk, more leverage. You're looking at higher home pricing. But then you also mentioned that you're able to find some deals in maybe some rougher areas. So, what would be your advice to folks if they are looking at investing in New Jersey, but maybe comparing it to investing in Texas or Florida or, some of the more cost effective areas of the country?
If you find the areas that are, without with lack of better words, in more uh lower income depressed areas, you will go ahead and be able to find properties that have lower taxes. Once you find those properties with the lower taxes, then, right there, you're making money because of the lower taxes, especially with rentals. You know, eh, six, seven, $8,000 a year is a big chunk out of your cash flow. But if you're finding properties, which I'm finding properties, 1,000, $1,500, $1,700 a year in taxes, and your rents are 17, 18, $1,900 a month, which in a high priced area, that's nothing. But when you're looking at areas that are, a little bit easier to buy,
Yeah.
properties that you're buying for 90, 100, 120, $130,000, they're great spreads. So that's really what you need to be doing. If you want to cash flow, you want to go ahead and find those areas that, honestly, a lot of investors don't want to go into.
I don't want to go
They just don't
into.
want to deal with, because those areas just have a stigma, and you gotta have a different mindset than that. Everybody needs a place to live. Everybody.
Yep.
So if everybody
I
needs
want
a
to
place to live, why don't you just go ahead and just provide that for them?
I want to ask you about the tenant versus landlord issues that can arise in Texas. 60 to 90 days you can evict somebody pretty easily in most jurisdictions. I've heard, and I'm not too familiar, but I've heard in New Jersey it can be like a year-long battle. Is that true pretty much everywhere in New Jersey?
And I mean, so far I've had to evict 5 people, 3 literally out of the same house, consecutively. But
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, no, it's during COVID. Yes, it was more like 90 to 120. But honestly, since that's all past everything, I'm honestly, I'm going through one right now. It's coming up on maybe like 65 days or so, not even 55 days or so, and we'll be able to go ahead and we'll have a court date. We should have a court date within the next 2 weeks.
I think that's good. I think a lot of people who are listening to this may be shocked to hear that, maybe because of the preconceived notions about investing in the
Yes.
tri-state area in the East Coast in New Jersey. They may be thinking, oh well, it's going to be a year-long battle. I don't want to have to deal with that. But you have properties that appreciate faster. You have very strong rents, comparatively speaking, and then you have, in many cases, I mean, you're in southern Jersey, but so many instances very close to a major metro or in a major metro itself. And so there's all these advantages of investing. And on top of that, you're not having to deal with this prolonged, potential evictions process. So I think maybe we'll get some more people investing in New Jersey because of this episode here. But Ken, we are coming up on time here, though. Where can folks go if maybe they have a deal that they'd like your feedback on, or if maybe they're an investor out there and they'd like to look at some properties in Jersey?
Oh, thank you for that question. So myself, Ken LePosa, I go ahead and my website is www.kensellsouthjersey.com. And what I do is I work for a Coldwell Banker out of Hannaford, New Jersey. But what I also do too is I provide investors, new investors, even some seasoned investors that might just be, need to get the spark again. I provide a mentorship program. Again, when I say free of charge, it's free of charge, but I go ahead and I acquire the property for them. I help them acquire the property, run the numbers for them. Then from there, then I go ahead and actually help them rehab the property with my guys, and then they can use my people to refi it, and then we go ahead and rent it, and we do it all. We repeat it, do it all over again. But the whole time, especially with that new investor, which I'm working with about 5 right now, I'm able to go ahead and kind of hold their hand through the whole process. I go ahead and take care of all the zoning paperwork, all the CO paperwork, just so that then they know that it's getting done right. And I'm holding their hand the whole time. And honestly, and then afterwards, I also manage it for them too. I got 3 investors right now that have never seen any of their properties. Never. The only thing they've seen on their properties was on video on WhatsApp. That's it. Other than that,
Wow.
I'm buying properties for them. I have a good track record for my own portfolio, and they want to build up.
Ken, thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.